Picture this. You've worked tirelessly to rebuild your life, shedding the weight of past struggles and emerging stronger. Your mindset is sharper, your heart is at peace, and you've embraced the new version of yourself. You've learned to move on. Then, suddenly, your phone lights up. Their name, the one person from your past. In that moment, your heart races. Your thoughts flood with everything from joy to regret, and you're faced with an undeniable choice. Do you allow them back in, or do you protect the growth you've fought so hard for? It's not just a message, it's a crossroads, a challenge to your self-respect, your peace of mind, and everything you've built. When someone from your past reappears, it's not just about the past, it's about your future. Are you strong enough to stand firm, or will you slip back into old habits? How you respond in this moment will either reinforce your growth or pull you back into the emotional chaos you've left behind. Here's the truth. Many people fail this test. They respond impulsively, they slip into old patterns, or they let nostalgia cloud their judgment. But you don't have to be one of them. Not this time. You've done the work, and now it's time to handle this differently. This time you'll stand with clarity and confidence, knowing you've earned the strength to face this moment head on. In this video, I'll guide you through the critical mistakes you must avoid when an ex reaches out. These are the traps that can undo all the progress you've made and send you spiraling back into uncertainty. But if you can steer clear of them, you'll come out stronger, wiser, and fully in control of your life. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond." The message from your ex is an external circumstance. But how you respond, that's your choice, and that's where your power lies. By the end of this video, you'll be armed with the tools to handle this challenge with confidence, leaving you more empowered than ever. Let's dive in. Here are the key mistakes you must avoid when your ex contacts you. Mistake 1. Don't react on the spot. Hit pause. When your ex reaches out, your first instinct might be to dive into a response immediately. Maybe you're flooded with excitement, anger, or confusion. Whatever the emotion, acting on it right away can cloud your judgment and lead to regret. That's why the number one rule is simple. Pause. Take a moment. Step away from your phone. Breathe. Give yourself the space to process before jumping into a response. Reacting in the heat of the moment hands over your power. When you're emotionally charged, you're not thinking clearly, you're simply reacting. Maybe nostalgia has you longing for the past, or anger makes you want to lash out. Neither of those responses reflects the true you, and both make you vulnerable to falling back into old patterns. It's easy to lose control when emotions take over, but true strength lies in responding with intention, not impulse. So, what should you do instead? Pause. Wait a few hours or even a full day. Give yourself the time to reflect on how you truly feel. Ask yourself, why do I want to respond? Are you doing it because you feel guilty, because you hope for reconciliation, or because you want to engage with them meaningfully? By taking that pause, you regain control over your emotions and actions. It's about showing up from a place of strength, not from a place of emotional turmoil. You've grown and healed, and that growth shows in how you handle these moments. Remember, you're the one in control of how this conversation goes, not them. By choosing when and how to respond, you're telling them, and more importantly, telling yourself, that you no longer react to every text, every phone call, or every message. You've moved past that. You're someone who acts with purpose and clarity, not out of impulse. Use this time to remind yourself of how far you've come. You've put in the work to heal, to move forward, and to become a stronger version of yourself. Don't let one message undo all that progress. Take a moment to center yourself, remember your worth, and respond from a place of power. Here's a simple affirmation to carry with you. I am in control of my emotions, and I respond with clarity, not reaction. If this resonates with you, drop it in the comments below and let's support each other in staying grounded. By taking that pause, you're not just avoiding a mistake. You're setting the stage for how you want this conversation to unfold, showing your ex and yourself that you value your peace, your growth, and your power. And trust me, that's a message worth sending. Mistake 2. Don't assume their intentions are genuine. When your ex reaches out, it's tempting to think they've had an epiphany. Maybe they miss you, maybe they've realized what they had, or maybe they've finally seen the light and want to make amends. But here's the hard truth. Not every ex that comes knocking has good intentions. Some may just be lonely. Others may be testing the waters to see if they still have access to you. Some might reach out simply because they're bored or curious about your life. Their reasons for contacting you could have nothing to do with your well-being and everything to do with their own emotional needs or insecurities. Words are easy. Anyone can say, "I miss you," or "I've changed," but it's actions that reveal their true intentions. If your ex is serious about reconnecting, their actions will speak volumes over time, showing consistency, accountability, and real effort. But if their words don't line up with their behavior, that's a huge red flag. As Maya Angelou wisely said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Think back to how they treated you during the relationship. Were they inconsistent, disrespectful, emotionally unavailable? Those patterns don't disappear overnight. Sure, people can change, but real change takes time, commitment, and ongoing effort. Don't be fooled by promises. Watch the actions, not the words. Is your ex popping in and out of your life only to disappear again? Are they avoiding responsibility for past mistakes? Are they telling you what they think you want to hear but never backing it up with real change? If so, don't fall into the trap. Protect your peace by keeping your expectations grounded. It's not your job to decode their motives. Your focus should be on protecting your energy and continuing to grow. And here's something crucial. You don't owe them anything. Just because they reached out doesn't mean you need to respond or engage. If their intentions are unclear or self-serving, it's perfectly fine to keep your distance. You're not required to invite them back into your life just because they've decided to reappear. Your boundaries are yours to set, and you have every right to enforce them. Here's an affirmation to help guide you. I trust my intuition and prioritize my peace. I don't make assumptions about intentions. I observe actions. If that resonates with you, drop it in the comments below. Let's remind each other that we deserve transparency, respect, and genuine effort in every relationship. By not assuming their intentions are pure, you're shielding yourself from unnecessary disappointment and emotional setbacks. You're also sending a clear message. You value yourself too much to settle for anything less than authenticity and respect. If your ex is truly serious about reconnecting, their actions will prove it. If not, well, that's on them. Remember, you've come too far to let someone's mixed signals disrupt your peace. Keep your focus on what's within your control, your boundaries, your growth, and your self-respect. Everything else will fall into place. Mistake number 3. Don't feel forced to offer forgiveness or closure right away. Forgiveness is a powerful gift, but it's one that should be given on your terms, not because someone else demands it. Just because your ex reaches out and asks for forgiveness or closure doesn't mean you owe them an immediate response. The reality is, if your ex is trying to clear their conscience, that's their issue to resolve, not yours. If they're seeking closure, but you're still in the process of healing, you don't have to provide it. Closure isn't something another person can hand to you. It's something you create for yourself as you grow and move forward. Above all, you owe them nothing, not your forgiveness, not your time, and certainly not a rushed decision. It's easy to feel pressured when your ex reaches out, especially if they seem sincere or vulnerable. But here's the truth. Forgiveness and closure are personal journeys that can't be rushed or dictated by anyone else. True forgiveness happens when you're ready, not when someone else decides it's time. You can't force it. It's a process that begins and ends with you. It's about releasing the hold that past pain has over you, not about making someone else feel better. Similarly, closure isn't something you can get from someone else. It's something you create from within. If your ex is reaching out to clear the air or make things right, ask yourself, is this really about me, or is it about them trying to ease their own guilt? If it's the latter, that's not your responsibility to carry. You don't owe them forgiveness simply because they're asking for it, and you certainly don't have to provide closure just because it's what they want. Your healing is yours alone, and it doesn't have to follow anyone else's timeline. Remember, forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. You can forgive someone and still choose to keep your distance. Forgiveness is about releasing anger or resentment, not about opening the door for someone to return to your life. Closure is the same. It's about finding peace on your own terms, without needing another person's participation. If your ex is truly remorseful, they will understand that forgiveness and closure take time. They'll respect your boundaries and not pressure you into moving faster than you're comfortable with. If they're not respecting that, it's a strong indication their intentions may not be as pure as they seem. By resisting the urge to offer forgiveness or closure immediately, you're protecting your emotional well-being and honoring your personal healing process. You're sending a powerful message to yourself that your growth and peace are more important than someone else's guilt or need for absolution. Forgiveness and closure are gifts you give to yourself when you're ready, not when someone else demands them. Remember, you've come too far to let anyone's timeline or unresolved feelings set you back. Focus on what truly matters, your peace, your healing, and your future. Everything else will fall into place when the time is right. Mistake number 4. Don't overshare your life too soon. When your ex reaches out and asks how you've been, it's tempting to spill everything. You might want to show them how well you're doing, prove that you've moved on, or even subtly hint that they've lost someone incredible. But here's the reality. Oversharing gives them power. It opens the door to your world, potentially disrupting the peace you've worked hard to create, and it can reopen wounds you've already started healing. The moment you start sharing too much, you're no longer in control of the narrative. They are. The urge to overshare often comes from a place of seeking validation. You want them to see how far you've come, how happy you are without them, or how successful you've become since the breakup. But here's the truth you need to hear. If they didn't appreciate you during the relationship, they probably won't appreciate you now. So why give them access to your life? Oversharing makes you vulnerable. It gives them insight into your emotional state, your wins, and your struggles, information they could use, consciously or unconsciously, to manipulate or influence you. Instead, keep your responses short, neutral, and focused on protecting your peace. If they ask how you've been, simply say, "I'm doing well, thanks," and leave it at that. No need to dive deep into your current life, especially if you're still healing. The less they know, the less power they have over you. This isn't about being rude or dismissive. It's about maintaining your boundaries and keeping control of the narrative. You are the one in charge now, and that means deciding how much or how little you want to share. You don't owe them the intimate details of your life. The relationship ended for a reason, and with that, they lost the right to know everything about you. Whether you're thriving or still in the process of growth, that journey is yours, not theirs. Sharing too much too soon can create a false sense of intimacy. It allows them to re-enter your life in ways that might feel comfortable at first, but could lead you back to unhealthy patterns. Even worse, it could reignite old emotions, making you fall back into a space where you start seeking their approval, validation, or comfort, things you've worked hard to find within yourself. By keeping your responses brief and neutral, you protect yourself from falling into those familiar, unhealthy dynamics. Remember, this isn't about being cold or distant. It's about prioritizing your emotional well-being. If they truly want to reconnect, they'll respect your boundaries and invest the time and effort to rebuild trust. If not, they'll fade away once they realize they can't access your life so easily. Either way, it's a win for you. By not oversharing, you send a powerful message that your life is your own to protect. You're no longer letting someone dictate your emotional state. You're in control. Keep your focus on your growth, your peace, and your future. The less they know, the stronger and more empowered you'll feel. Mistake number 6. Don't let guilt control your response. When your ex reaches out, sometimes the intention behind their words isn't as clear as it seems. They might pull on your heartstrings, saying things like, "I just wanted to hear your voice one last time," or "I can't believe you don't care anymore." These statements are designed to trigger guilt, hoping you'll feel responsible for their emotions or choices. But here's the hard truth. You don't owe them a response, especially not because they're trying to manipulate your feelings with guilt. Guilt is an incredibly powerful emotion, and many people use it as a tool to regain control over a situation. Your ex might be struggling with their own regrets, loneliness, or unmet needs, and they want you to feel bad for moving on. But guess what? Their emotions are not your responsibility. You're not their emotional caretaker or therapist. Your only responsibility is to yourself, to your peace, your growth, and your future. When guilt is being used to pull you back in, it's important to see it for what it truly is: manipulation. Guilt tripping is an attempt to make you feel accountable for their emotions, something that's not yours to fix. Responding out of guilt won't bring clarity or healing. It will only reopen old wounds, reignite toxic dynamics, and pull you back into a cycle of emotional chaos that you've worked hard to escape. Instead of letting guilt control your response, choose peace. Take a moment to remind yourself that your growth has been hard-earned, and no one else's emotional struggles should overshadow your well-being. If your ex is truly struggling, they need to deal with that on their own, or seek help from someone who can support them in a healthy, non-manipulative way. Their feelings aren't yours to bear, and you are not obligated to respond out of a sense of responsibility for their emotions. It's also important to reflect on why you might feel guilty. Ask yourself, am I genuinely responsible for their feelings, or am I falling back into old habits of people-pleasing? Remember, it's okay to care about someone without taking on their emotional baggage. You can wish them well without compromising your own peace. By refusing to respond out of guilt, you're reclaiming your power. You're showing yourself and your ex that you've set clear boundaries and that your peace is non-negotiable. You're no longer allowing someone else's emotions to dictate your actions, and that's a massive step forward in your journey toward growth, self-respect, and emotional freedom. Mistake number 7. Don't let their return distract you from your growth. When your ex reaches out, it can feel like a bombshell. Suddenly, all the progress you've made, the healing, the growth, the forward momentum, seems to hang in the balance. But here's the truth. Their message doesn't have to derail your journey. You've put in too much work to let a simple text or call throw you off course. This moment is a test of your resilience, your boundaries, and your commitment to your growth. How you handle it will determine whether you stay on your path or get pulled back into old patterns. The first question to ask yourself is their return adding value to my life or causing disruption? If their message comes with clarity, accountability, and a sincere desire to make amends, it may be worth considering on your terms. But if their return feels like a distraction, a setback, or something that disrupts your peace, it's time to refocus on what truly matters: your growth, your peace, your future. These things are too precious to sacrifice for someone who may not have your best interests at heart. It's easy to get tangled in what-ifs when an ex reaches out. What if they've changed? What if this is our second chance? What if I miss out on something meaningful? But here's the reality. You're not the same person you were when the relationship ended. You've grown, you've learned, and you've built a life that doesn't revolve around them, and that's something worth protecting. Don't let their return make you forget how far you've come or how much you've accomplished on your own. One of the biggest traps people fall into is allowing an ex's return to become their primary focus. They overanalyze every word, every intention, and every possible outcome. They let their ex's actions, or lack thereof, dictate their emotions and decisions. But here's the key. Your ex doesn't control your story anymore. You do. Keep your attention on your own journey. If their return disrupts your peace, it's okay to step back. You don't have to respond right away, or at all. Their presence in your life doesn't deserve your mental or emotional space. Your growth is non-negotiable. Anything that threatens that should be set aside. Remember, you've already shown you can thrive without them. Don't let their return make you second-guess that. Growth isn't a straight path. There will be times you feel tempted to revisit the past or question your progress. That's normal. What matters is how you handle those moments. Do you give in to the temptation? Or do you remind yourself of how far you've come? Do you let their return dictate your self-worth? Or do you stand firm in the knowledge that you're enough, whether they're part of your life or not? By not letting their return derail your growth, you're sending a powerful message. Your life is yours to live, and no one gets to steer it but you. You're proving to yourself and to your ex that you've moved on, not just from the relationship, but from the person you were when you were in it. You're stronger now, wiser, more resilient, and that's something no message can take away. So keep your eyes on the prize, your growth, your peace, your future. If their return adds value, great. If it doesn't, let it go. You've already proven that you can thrive without them. This isn't just about them, it's about you, your power, your confidence, your self-respect. You hold the cards now, and how you respond will,